Hi, welcome to Aging Loved Ones, the Healing House podcast. I'm Gwen Sarandrea. I have with me today Duke Morton. Hi, Duke. How are you?
I am fine. I'm glad to be back.
Duke has been with us already for 3 different interviews. This is the 4th one. I just want to keep going deeper because there's so much to cover here. Duke, can you? I would like to go into your relationship with your dad. You
Okay.
talked about fathers and sons and the problems there, and that's really so interesting.
hmm
Can you? What memories do you treasure from the whole experience?
Yeah. Specifically from the experience was definitely being able to really reconnect with my dad, or actually, not even connect at all with my dad, because he had made for all of us growing up, and even I've heard later from people he considered his friends, he was very closed off. He had shut himself down from just about everybody. So for previously, he would only let people in so close, but he had a private life that he would not let anybody into, including his family. Um, so consequently, the really special thing was that he had dementia for a couple of years, but it was progressing by the time I joined on to take care of him. He had really opened up, and he was really present every moment, and really interested in me and where my life was going. And at that, I do graphic design work, and was getting my portfolio together, and he was really interested in that, and just constantly was making an effort to really open up to me and learn about me, and like really have a connection with me. He really wanted to have that, which he had never had before, and wasn't really capable of. I mean, I realize now, last time we were talking about perspectives that it gives you, and I could see, uh, I can see that he had shut himself down, and would not let himself get close to anyone. And now he was, and he was genuinely interested in me and my life, and my artistic pursuits, and just every single day, since I was there, again, there 24/7. Just every day he would wake up and just really reaffirm the connection with me, and tell me that he was overjoyed to get to see me every morning, that I was there, and give me a big hug, which is complete reversal from anything we had grown up with. Uh, so it's yeah, my treasured memories. That's one of the main things. Is every morning when he woke up, he would specifically pull me aside and tell me how happy it made him that I was there, and he got to see me every morning and give me a big hug. That's a huge thing, um, in our family. That's a giant thing. So that was probably uh, the main change, the main memory that I have of him. And it's a wonderful memory to leave from all of the negativity, the decades of negativity. That's the memory that I am left with, and I'm really happy. That's one of the main reasons that I uh, dove into taking care of my parents so wholeheartedly. Once again, encouraged by your writing and your book and your experience. But it was to hopefully have that kind of connection with one or both of my parents. And I just lucked out that my dad was ready to make that connection. And I had done enough work for myself that I was ready to receive that. And it was just wonderful. That I will cherish that now. That's my memory for the rest of my life, of my father. And that's wonderful. That's an amazing reversal of what it could have been if I had not done this. It would be very different memories. Uh,
Yes, to go from not being involved in your life at all. You
right.
said that he had a separate life, even from your
Yes.
mother and
Yes.
you, to be totally cut off like that, and to be and have difficulties in your younger years with him, trying to please him, trying to make a
Yes.
connection, and then
Yeah.
to actually have it happen when you were taking care of him at the end of his life sounds absolutely profound.
Yes, it was. It was profound. That's a really good. That's a very good word. It was really profound. It was 180 degrees from what it had been the entire rest of my life. uh, and that's well, it's wonderful. It's one of one of the things that I had hoped I would get out of the experience by the time my parents were dead, would be to heal that relationship, and that was just profound. It was profound, definitely.
Yes, especially once you leave your childhood home, often you don't have as much connection with the parents, and the relationship, unless you really keep it up, often doesn't get deeper. So this was a way for it to absolutely get deep fast.
Oh yes, exactly. It was like condensed. It's like, okay, they have the clock is running out. I'm going to be there 24/7, and so I got to make every minute count. uh, Besides just the taking care of them, was really like go through, work through, whatever issues, just plunge in and just work through it as fast as possible because they're slowly dying. Um, yes, it's just just a profound change, and a wonderful way to leave the memories. Those are the memories I'm left with, and they're wonderful, and they totally changed my life. From the time he died until I die, that's going to be the memory that I hold of him, and that's a profound change.
Yes. So, did your father have any spiritual orientation?
No, actually. My parents were they were both Southern, and raised born during the Depression, the Great Depression in the 30s. My dad in the late 20s, just before, but my mom in the middle of the depths of the Depression. And I'm sure that their families were religious, however, not wholeheartedly religious, because we never got any stories about going to church every Sunday, or any kind of spiritual ritual, from both of them growing up, and they certainly never raised us that way. They both were completely self involved in their train wreck of a marriage and their own personal issues. Seriously, we were like afterthoughts, as kids. They were just in flailing around, arguing in hysteria, always hysteria or depression, and we were just sort of on the sidelines. So there was no let's all go to church every Sunday or anything like that. We would occasionally go to a Presbyterian church for a candlelight service, um, and occasionally for an Easter service, but there was no. It was never. Uh, there was no rhyme nor reason for it. Some years we wouldn't, some years we would. Yeah, it was very haphazard, as everything they did when we were growing up. Everything was haphazard and off the cuff, and no forethought. So yeah, it's interesting, uh, that my sister dove headlong into to Christian evangelism, and I dove headlong into meditation and spiritual pursuits. Um, but those were our own devices. That's something that we decided, once we became teenagers, that we pursued those on our own. So neither parent, no real spiritual connection there.
So, when you first moved in, what was the condition between you and your dad, and kind of how did that intimacy develop over time?
Well, we had already he actually had sort of had a change of heart once he uh lost he went into bankruptcy and lost his business, about 10 years earlier. So, and once he did that, I noticed, definitely. I mean, at that point I was still in film production, down in Los Angeles, and he was really he had a change of heart at that point and really wanted to get to know me. um and he would visit and really wanted to know about the film industry and what my job was. And I was just making an effort to be a part of my life. So that had started before he got the dementia and before they needed the caregiving. So he was already in that mindset, and that's something that he, once he lost the business, it just sort of, that of course changed him. But it definitely, he'd some sort of change in his way of thinking or looking at things. But he had tried to start making a connection with me at that point. Um, so by the time I moved in, of course, he had advancing dementia, and so his personality was actually much better, as I've talked about before. The negativity was gone, and he was very positive. So he was overjoyed. I mean, as I said, to have me there all the time. Now he could really be a part of my life and really make an effort to do that. So um, when I first moved in, it was more setting boundaries, finding out what needed to be done and how I was going to be able to do it myself, and how I was going to be able to preserve my energy and not be completely drained by these two people that I knew had, as I said before, no boundaries, didn't respect any, didn't know about setting things up, and just lived from temper tantrum to temper tantrum. So I knew that going in. Mostly in my mindset was, okay, how am I going to deal with this? What needs to be done every day? Setting up systems to deal with all of it. That was really going into it. But my dad was already wanting to be a part of my life and be a part of my sister's lives as well. They had both my one of my sisters had, as I said, she had a home for decades and still does. That's a couple of miles away from my parents' home. And so she already had been going over there regularly to see them. At that point, they were able to take care of themselves and be alone on their own before I moved in. So yeah, for me, it was really just figuring out what needed to be done and how I was going to do it and how I was going to keep my sanity, and how it was a real challenge to set boundaries with people that I had never had to set boundaries with before. But if it was going to work, it had to be done. So it was really good for my own personal growth. It was a really wonderful challenge. Uh, so there you go. That's it. When I first moved in, that was what I was thinking of.
And it's a good thing you took care of yourself because you ended up spending 7 years before your mother finally passed. Your dad passed earlier. Um, it's absolutely necessary for a caretaker to take care of themselves first, absolutely first, because you have so much to do, taking care of sick people. Um, it's just absolutely. So tell us, how did you take care of yourself?
How well, and I've spoken of this before. I mean, going into it, I'd had uh, many decades of spiritual work and meditation, specifically meditation, deep meditation work for many years. And so I had a meditation practice. I was practicing what we now call self care. I've been doing it for decades. And very aware of myself and what I needed to do to preserve my energy and keep my energy up and take care of myself physically. I was very sickly as a child. So I grew up focused on my body and what my body needed to function correctly, and and how not to just run myself ragged and end up being sick, because that was very much in my early life. That was very much the pattern. So coming into it, I already had all those systems in place, so to speak, with myself. Uh, so it and I knew that I had a limited amount of energy, and I had to be able to preserve that and make it through however many years it was going to be. And that was the other thing too, was I didn't go in with the mindset, oh, it's going to be 18 months, and then suddenly it wasn't. That's very different. I went in with, I'm there for as long as it takes. And if it takes 2 years, if it takes 4 years, whatever, that's sort of the headspace I had to be in. And I think that's really important for anybody doing this. If you don't know specifically when they're going to pass or how long you're going to be doing it, you really have to be honest with yourself. You're there for the long run, and it puts you in a different headspace, certainly.
And it sounds like your spiritual practice made it a lot richer for you. That you went. It sounds like you went into it for uh, emotional, spiritual reasons. And how did that work out for you?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. That was a big part of it. I mean, besides taking care of them physically and making sure they had, the laundry list of all the physical, taking care of the ailments and all the daily stuff, really on a spiritual level, wanting to connect with them and heal old wounds. That was a real focus right off the bat. I mean, that's one of the things that encouraged me to take on the challenge in the first place, was the opportunity to heal wounds, whatever I could, and get shift the relationships, leave on a good note. To be really basic, just when they died, be on an upbeat note, as opposed to dragging old decades old problems around for the rest of my life. So yeah, going into it, I had a very specific goal. Is I wanted to connect with them as much as they were able to, because you can only do your part of it. If somebody else isn't there going to do their portion, you can't do anything about that. And with my dad, certainly he was more than willing. He was really in the headspace to really make a connection. So that was wonderful. My mom was not so much. She never focused on that. So yeah, that was just a very different story with her. She was just in a different headspace as well at that point of her life. Um, but certainly with my dad, he was right there, like ready to make a connection and wanting to have that with me. So so yeah, I went into it with specific goals. That was it, and spiritually heal myself and heal the relationships, and do as much as I could before they were gone.
Were you there when they took their last breaths? And what was that like for you?
Yes, for my dad, I was there the whole time. When he was starting to go downhill and his breathing became erratic, and he started to sort of go out of his head, and be unresponsive, and I helped get him into his bed. And then I was there. The hospice, again, we've talked how wonderful hospice was at that point. Hospice we had called in a few weeks before. So hospice came and was there. I had morphine that I could give him. And, I was literally there. My sisters and my niece, like on the bedside crying, and I'm administering morphine so that he would, not be in pain. He was, uh, breathing erratically and not responsive. Um, but I was there administering morphine and checking for a pulse right up to his last breath. It was very dramatic. That's something you don't forget. But yeah, I was there with him the whole time, right before he lost consciousness, and so yeah, that was a profound experience. Yeah, I was there right to the very end. So,
Yes.
at a loss for words there.
Yes. Uh, so was this a spiritual experience for you to help him pass?
Yes, it was. And actually, he had the week before, he had the same symptoms, and we sort of thought that he was going to be going. And yeah, I would place my hands on him and just tell him, telepathically, just through my thoughts, just when it's time to go, just let go. Just let go. It's time. Just don't be scared. Just let go when you need to. He came out of it that time, but then certainly I was there spiritually with him as well. I had my hands on him, checking his vital signs, and just encouraging him to let go and not be scared. So but yeah, it was definitely a spiritual element. I mean, I did a lot of that in those last hours. Yes, definitely.
And that is so precious. And that's something that you're able to have happen more at home rather than in a hospital where there's so much noise and confusion and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yes. They both had wanted to die at home, and again, hospice made that a possibility. Um, and yes, you're right. I mean, you don't. It's warm. It's familiar. It's not cold and clinical, and anonymous. Hospitals are anonymous. And it's yeah. So it made a big difference. Yes, to for them to do their convalescing in their house and then die in their house. That makes a huge difference. And once again, hospice uh, made that a possibility, and the fact that we kids were all around there, making that a possibility as well, because we really put ourselves and our money reserves on the line to make all of that happen for them.
So it sounds like the family kind of came together, you and your sisters, at least with your dad at the end.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, my sisters, for sure, and especially even when they were not there physically, 24/7 like I was, they were always on the other end of the phone. I could always talk to them. They would visit when they could. My sister, that was just a few miles away, would come at least twice a week to come and relieve me, give me some time away. And my other sister, who at that point, my youngest sister, who was living down in another part of the state, she would come up and visit. She was, a few hundred miles away, so she would come and visit regularly as well. So yes, we did all pull together, and we were always with any kind of medical decision or what medications they needed to go on. We would always do a phone conference and decide what was best and what should be done. And I would let them know what's happening day to day when there would be a change in mental state. My mom certainly had many changes in her mental capacity, and I'd always run it by my sisters. So yes, we did all pull together, which I have come to understand is actually not the norm. It usually falls on one person, and then it's a battle with the other siblings who aren't there and don't understand what's going on. So yeah, I really, we really lucked out. Every time I tell people this, they're oh wow, you're so lucky. So yeah, we did all pull together for my our parents to have this all happen.
And how about your mother at her end? Were you present at her end?
I was not present at the very, very end. Actually, my sisters had come there. She was going downhill, and of course, she had advancing Parkinson's, and that's part of it. Is it's it affects the nervous system and the brain's ability to control the body, and so she, it's very painful to watch. Just slowly lose control of her body and just basic functions. So by the end, it was she had been for like 3 days, sort of like almost comatose, like not responding, just breathing but not responding. And my sisters came at that point. My little sister was living. We had been in the house for 5 years at that point together. So she was there. My other sister had come over, and I at that point was desperate for a break, and so I went out for the afternoon. And it was while I was away on the break that they texted me and said, she's gone. She drew her last breath. Then I rushed back. So no, I was not there at the very end. They took care of that, which is the way it should be. The daughters should be with the mom and the son with the dad. So it actually, now that I look at it, it's like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. They were there, and my niece was there as well. So it was the three of them. Yeah.
And did you have a funeral or a memorial, or what arrangements did you make?
They had for my dad, he did have, and I was not a part of it. I didn't want to be a part of either of those. Um, but my sister was insistent that we have a memorial service for my dad. So they did that, and then he, per his wishes, he was cremated. Um, and my mom, she had was insistent that she don't. There's a wonderful program at San Francisco State has a wonderful program. You can donate your body, especially like Parkinson's patients, or if you have a major disease, you can donate your body for research to further research, specifically for Parkinson's. I know, and she was very interested in that always, and so she signed the papers, and so they took her body. Uh, and they were wonderful about it, and they do a memorial. They do their own memorial service for the patients that have donated their bodies. So that was really nice. But for her, we did not have a. We did all get to. Oh, that's right. We did all get together at a winery. One of my sisters worked at a winery, and we got together there and had a celebration of her life. And we had dancing because she was a dancer. Of course, both my parents were dancers, but she was always the one that got us into dancing. So we had a wonderful. We all said some wonderful speeches about her, and then had a dance party afterwards, and she would really have loved that. So that was really nice. That was wonderful for my mom.
And how wonderful that she donated her body to science so that they could uh, help other people in the future from what they would learn. That's
Yeah,
I'm just so amazed. That's wonderful.
yes. Yeah, it really was wonderful. And she had for a couple of years, when she found out about that, because she was really into the research they were doing on Parkinson's and the advancing. She did a lot of study on that, and she found this program, and she was very insistent that that happened. And so there were all the legal papers to sign. And yeah, that was something she was very, very much into. And it is wonderful. It's a wonderful program. They were just wonderful about it, and very respectful. And yeah, just really great. But yes, she found that on her own, and she was really insistent.
So, are these interviews bringing up emotions for you, Duke? It's like talking about these things. How do you feel when we're done? It's like what's your
It is very emotional. I have to take time by myself. I'm actually right now. I'm staying near the beach. I'm an ocean guy. I surf, and so I always go out to the ocean to heal. But yes, I always go take a walk on the beach after these things. It's I'm fine talking about it, but it does actually bring up a lot of emotions and memories of that time. It was a very difficult, exhausting time, and very emotional, of course. And yes, reliving all of these details of it brings it back fresh to me. So yes, I do actually have to take some time by myself afterwards. Uh, yeah.
yes, and you get more integration happens over time because you're integrating your feelings. It's like the healings that have happened take a deeper emotional grounding.
Oh, yes, they really do. That's very, very true. And as you, of course, you have to process things over the years, and really focusing on it because I'm still have a very strong meditation practice, and I focus on all of these things, and yes, it does. It integrates, and actually talking about it's really wonderful. I mean, you would be doing that in a therapy session anyway. Um, just thinking about it now, I'm like, yes, actually, this is exactly what you'd be doing in a therapy session. Going back over the details and examining feelings and emotions and what comes up, uh, and uh, and yeah, and still healing. I'm still healing from it, and healing my life and current relationships. Yes, yeah, definitely. It's still evolving. It's not something that's finished.
So, what do you feel is a result for you? It's like, are there things that you have brought into your life from this experience that probably you wouldn't have?
Oh my gosh, definitely. I was thinking about that today, how profoundly it has changed my life and changed my personal relationships and the relationship I'm in now, which is really wonderful. That would not have been possible had I not gone through this and I had not healed the my relationship with my parents. It certainly has changed. I can totally tell the change in me and the change in what I bring to a relationship now is a completely different dynamic. I would not have this great relationship that I have now without having healed all of that with my parents. And it's funny. A friend of a friend has the opportunity to He's in between jobs, and or again, he's going to relocate overseas, and he has a couple of months, and was moving back to Los Angeles, where his parents are located. And anyway, I was just it's like he's in his 30s, and so it just seemed, when you're that age, it seems like that's not important. And I was like, oh my God, it's so important. If you have the time to put into it, be with your parents as much as you can, and just heal what, just be around them, and it brings things up, and it's you do a certain amount of healing even if you're not conscious of it, and especially if you have the time, because I lucked out that I happened to be in between jobs when all of this was going on with my parents, and I was able to simply throw myself into it. But you may not, if I'd been involved in another film production, I would not be able to just throw everything aside and go be with my parents. So when you have the opportunity, it's so, so important, and it really does change the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yes. My experience with my dad was very different because he was in excellent health. I was very fortunate.
Yes. Yes.
But similar issues in the sense of getting to know him on a deeper level.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my dad was always working, a very responsible man. He was taking care of his family. He was taking care of his mother, who died at 92, always taking care of the house and the car. And so, he was a good, loving father, but he wasn't around much.
Right.
And then I got married at 19 and went off. And when I was 50 years old, I invited him to come live with me in California. He was widowed at that point. He was 80 years old, and he came out. Now, the first year was hard for us because we bought a 1914 handcrafted cottage that needed all kinds of repairs. And so that was hard in the beginning because, for example, we needed a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house because I needed a private office and he needed his own bathroom. But we only could afford a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. However, there was an old kitchen in the back and the living room was huge. So I decided I would take the old kitchen out of the back and put it in the front. And that would make a private office for me. And we could build a bathroom for Dad later. But the problem was we didn't get to do that for a while because we moved the refrigerator in and we moved the gas stove in because there was a gas heater we could hook it up, but we still had to run the plumbing under the house. And that didn't happen until we put in a new bathroom. So every morning Dad would wake up 5 a.m. and come down heavy on that step and wash his dishes in the kitchen. And the 5 a.m. in the morning was not a time that I was used to being up. So it was these kinds of difficulties in the beginning of working those out. But the other thing, I was starting to talk about the relationship. So
Right.
When my father first came, he was like an old man because he had been sitting in front of the TV with his brother for 3 years.
Right.
But it took him about 6 months, and he lost 20 years off of him because he knew how to take care of houses, and he felt wanted and needed again. But the relationship between us was, I started to go to him to say, Dad, what is it you want to do around the house? Because the very first problem I had was I looked out the window and he's up on an old rickety ladder with an old saw in his hand trying to cut off a dead branch off a dead tree.
Yeah.
And I went out and got him down from that and told him, you have to stay on the ground. We'll call the tree guy. We don't want you doing manual labor. And he said, great.
Yeah.
But 2 days later, he was up again on something high. So I had to set boundaries, just like you said. The boundaries were the first thing that happened. Boundaries, and it's like you have to stay on the ground. And then we started to hire men to come do stuff, so we didn't have that problem anymore.
Nice.
But
nice.
What I learned to talk to him and say, what is it you want to do? How can I help you? Rather than being worried that he was going to do something himself and and have a
Right,
problem.
right,
So I had to shift. I had to open up and bring him in. It's like, yes, I was the head of the household, so to speak, but he was my father. And,
yes, exactly.
uh,
It's very interesting. Yeah.
there's this shift in power that happens, uh, but the shift in power for us was more equal. It's like he wasn't the
Mm,
adult with the child anymore. It was the two of us were two mature adults working together. And so we really developed a partnership. I developed a partnership with my dad that I never had as a child. I got to know him on
mm,
deep, intimate levels that I never knew. Now, he wasn't always working. We'd had family picnics and
yeah.
parties and things like that.
Hmm.
But,
Yeah.
I would have to compete with my mother for that time. she
Right, right,
she wanted his attention, and my sister, etc.
right.
So it's like this was very different. It's like I had him all to myself. Anytime I picked up a hammer, he was right there.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. It's so different. So different.
Sharing meals, simple thing like sharing meals every day.
Hmm.
And we would talk,
Hmm.
and I'd ask him about the family back in Pennsylvania and how were they, and my cousins and aunts and uncles and such. And
Hmm.
I would ask him stories about growing up and how it was with my mother and things like this. So we really did develop an intimacy over 4 years. And actually, the most fun
Yes.
thing, let me bring this in, the one thing
Yeah.
that Dad did do for me and my sister when we were growing up is he was a dancer. So he taught us to
Right. You said.
foxtrot in the living room. I remember him saying, "Now bend your knees and feel
Uh,
the rhythm." And and because Dad taught me
yeah.
that in the living room at 12, after I was divorced years
Mm,
later, I started taking dancing lessons. So I became a ballroom
right.
dancer. Well, then this was
Yeah.
actually wonderful for him because once he was out here, a matter of fact, even on the invitation, when I was called him and asked him, I said, "Dad, if you come live with me, I'll take you dancing every other week at Dance Arts." And it's like he hadn't been
Uh,
dancing for 3 years. He'd been sitting in front of the TV with his brother.
yeah.
So
Right. Right.
so I actually got him back to be more active again with dancing because once he came out, uh, I didn't do it
That
the very
is
first month. I,
right.
I
Right.
waited till
Right.
he got a little bit more spry. He got more alive. He became more
Right.
alive when he
Right.
came to live with
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Uh, he took
Yeah.
2 walks a day. He kept going to Fairfax Lumber for tools to fix the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tool shopping. Yes. Exactly. Just yeah. All the things he knows.
But the wonderful thing was now I was able to bring dancing back into his life. So he brought dancing into my life, and it was my social life for decades. All my friends were dancers. My major
Yeah.
relationships were dancers. Uh, my friends, Hal, Franklin, and Fred, all were dancing partners, and they helped me actually with Dad. They helped me get ready. It's like when I was a panic before he came, when I was making arrangements, and I'd be in tears because
Yes.
because I didn't know what was going to happen and I was afraid. And
Right.
Franklin would call me and say, "What are you doing?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm packing boxes and I'm in tears because I don't know what's going to happen." And he go, "Okay, great. Why don't
Yes.
you come out to dinner with me? Meet me in San Anselmo. We'll go to a restaurant." And it's like, boy, my friends made such a difference. They helped me out constantly
Yes.
with my
Yes.
father,
Yes.
and told me how lucky I was that I was able to do this. Franklin said, "I wish I could have done this for my parents."
The
And
yes.
his mother
Yes.
died younger when he was younger of cancer,
Ah.
so it would not have
Ah.
been possible. But he said,
No.
I think it's so wonderful you're doing this." So my friends really encouraged me, and it was really great. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That is fantastic. Yes. Yeah, it is, and it's a really good point. Not everybody has the ability to do this because of life circumstances or whatever, distances, that kind of thing. But when you have the opportunity to really jump at it and take it, That's really the thing, is if it presents itself, then go for it, because you won't regret it. And the same here. I mean, so many people have told me, "Oh, you're so lucky. I wish I had put the time in with my dad or my mom before they died." I get that a lot as well.
Yes, and in 45 years of counseling people, the main issues come from their parents often. Their current relationship is plagued by their
Yeah,
parents' relationship because the problems
yeah,
that they grew up with are still there, and that's what they're coming
yeah,
to therapy to heal
yeah,
these parental relationships. And this was
yeah.
taking care of them is the best way to do that.
It really is. It was the fine for me. I mean, and I'm one of those people that have worked for decades on it. It really was like the final piece. It's like I knew I'd gotten to a certain place, and having them alive and being able to interact with them, we let healed and let go of a ton of stuff that would never have happened. I would still be carrying it with me. And yes, and like you said, I mean, your personal relationships are playing out the issues that your parents from your parents' relationship. And consequently, yes, as you were saying, it's how has it affected me. I'm in a current relationship now that is completely different from any of the other relationships I've had when I was still working through issues with my from my parents. And now that I've let go of all of that, I have a completely different, wonderful relationship that I would never have had. So yes, it's very true. I mean, throughout your life, you just carry these issues, and boy, there's nothing like being right there with the people that you grew up with.
Yes, and my father was not religious. I would say
Mm,
he was love
mm,
in action. It wasn't
mm,
God wasn't out there someplace. God was right here.
mm.
And for Dad, it was you take care of your family. You love everybody. You work hard. It's like that was his spiritual work. It,
Nice,
um,
nice.
so. Even though I did psychic work, yeah, I have a
Hmm.
master's degree in clinical counseling psychology, but I'm also a natural clairvoyant, and so a lot
Hmm.
of my early work started out with clairvoyant readings,
Yes,
uh, and I'm very spiritual. But Dad and I didn't really talk about those things. It was more. It was just understood. It's like he was a good man. He followed his heart. That was his religion, basically.
that's yeah, that is wonderful. That's
But
wonderful.
I did get to do his Bardo. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Um,
Yeah.
After 4 years, we had a wonderful relationship. It just was it really developed beautifully. And after 4 years, Dad announced to me that he was going to go get a flu shot. Oh, I'm going to get my it's annual flu shot. Doctor said I have to get a flu shot. Please, Dad, don't get a flu shot. I said I didn't want him to get.
Hmm.
I have to get. My doctor said okay. He went out the door. He was happy. His
Yeah.
energy was great, and he walked back in that
Yeah.
door, and he was depressed. His energy was flat. Everything
Ah,
is like. Now, since then, I have read that mercury and other toxins are in uh, can be in vaccines. My theory
mhm.
is the toxin went straight to his heart and damaged it because he had all I had taken him to the doctors. The doctor said he had wonderful heart, great strong heart. He was out there with a hatchet chopping down trees. After
Wow.
6 months
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
healthy and happy, and 4 years and he was
Hmm.
dancing. He had a wonderful
Yeah.
relationship. So when he came back, I knew that it was that flu shot. 4 months later, he was gone. That's what happened. From the day he got that flu shot, he started to lose energy. He just lost energy, as though a plug had
Mm.
been pulled out, and he just got
Wow.
weaker and weaker and weaker. Started going to bed earlier and earlier. I finally, there at some point, he said, told me he needed help, and I was waiting for
Yeah.
him to let me know because he was very independent, and I
Right. Right. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I came in and I helped him, etc. And then and then when I was helping him to the bathroom one night, he said, I can't stand
Mm,
up, and his legs buckled under him. And I said, that's okay. Now I'm just going to lower yourself to the floor. I've got you. I covered him with a blanket and put a pillow under his head. And I
mm-hmm.
said, let's just figure out what to do now. Let's see. I don't want the police in here. No. How about if I call the fire department? They'll send a couple men over and lift you up and put you back in bed. And he said, great, that's no
Mm-hmm.
problem. So that's what they did. Uh, now, except
Mm-hmm.
later that the next day, he insisted on getting up to go eat at the table. It's like, no, Dad, no, I want to eat
Yeah.
at the table. You help me, I can do it. All right, so I tried.
Yeah.
He got to
Yes.
the table. He ate. He's on his way back with the walker, and his legs collapsed again. And now he's stuck in the
Yeah.
doorway with the walker. And I grabbed a chair and slid it
Oh.
under him, and
Mm-hmm.
and called the
Mm-hmm.
fire department.
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Wow.
And they took care of him, put him back in bed. Anyway, at the point. I went and called my sister Carol in Southern California, and she came up. So she
Yeah.
was there the next day,
Yeah.
and she was able to spend 32 hours with him before he went in a coma. And then when he went in the coma, we called hospice. They set up a hospital bed in the living
Yeah.
room, and she
Yeah.
took care of him. Um, and so after about a week, he was skin and bones. And I went into meditation and said, what is he learning? Why is he still alive? And what I got was, he's learning to receive all the love he gave to everybody else his entire life.
Ah.
And I went, and
Ah.
what am I learning? And it said, you have to
Yeah.
own your healing ability and give it to your dad, because this is something you and he never talked about. Oh, okay, good. So that night, I waited
Yeah.
till my 3-hour shift, because Carol would be sleeping, because she would get up with him in the middle of the night. And I spent
Mm-hmm.
3 hours with him. I was talking to him. I was healing his energy
Yeah.
field. I focused on his heart,
Nice.
because he was dying of heart failure.
Nice.
I told him, the greatest accomplishment of your life is that everyone loved you, which is true. It's like he
Nice.
was always in service. My father always in helping everybody. Service for anyway. And I basically said to him, all you have to do is drop this worn out body like an old suit of clothes and cross over
Yeah.
into the light. I said, your parents were
Yes.
farmers, your eyes were closed. You've always been focused on what's practical, what you could see, but your eyes are closed and you can't see
Yeah.
now. I want you to see with what I see. And I put my forehead to his forehead, and I visualize this
Mm-hmm.
tunnel of light with angels with their wings outspread.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, they're singing, and they're going to guide you back into the light. You're going
Mm-hmm.
home. This is a glorious time. And I sent him off with prayers
Mm-hmm.
and healings and love. The next morning, he was
Nice.
gone. Carol said he
Nice.
didn't moan for his 5 a.m. medication. The hospice came and took the body away. And then I went into
Mm-hmm.
meditation. And I immediately
Mm-hmm.
saw this wonderful vision of Dad. He was alive in his spirit body. He was
Mm-hmm.
young. He was full of love. He had two golden beings on either side of him. He was golden. It was so
Mm-hmm.
glorious. I was in bliss. I had tears running down my face. I was crying. I was,
Wow.
it's like, you made it. I helped you. We did it. I mean,
Yes,
I
exactly.
was celebrating. It's like, yes, it's like he was resplendent in the light, and it was
That is
the
cool.
gift that he gave to me for me taking care of him. That's
Yes.
how I feel, and because we were so close,
Yeah.
and with my clairvoyance, I was able to see this vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep sharing
Yeah.
this with people coming to terms with aging and dying, because
Yes.
I have seen the vision. I know there is life after death. So I just want to make sure I put
Oh,
that in here.
oh yes, definitely. That's wonderful. What a great experience. That's amazing. An amazing experience. Wow. Very good.
So this is, of course, a total surprise. I would have never expected it. However, when I thought about it years later, I remember saying, I want to be there when he dies. And when that sentence came out of my
Yeah.
mouth, I was
Yeah.
surprised because I hadn't thought that far ahead. But actually, 4 years later, I was there when he died, and I could see what an important thing it was. So some part of me
Yes.
already knew
Yes.
in advance that this was a spiritual experience not to be missed.
Yes. Exactly. That it is important, and it's something, an experience. Certainly, after reading your account of it, that it was an experience that I wanted to have. And again, yeah, like you said, it's like I had no idea at that point, like what was that going to be, and how was that ever going to happen? And then 4 years later, then my life was at a point where I could do this, and the opportunity presented itself. So yes, it's very interesting that you have the idea, and then it takes a few years, and then suddenly there it is. So it's and just profound change.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a gift that our parents have given us because I
Yes.
would, I
Yes.
got so much out of it. I got so much more than my dad, I feel. Uh,
Oh yes.
um,
Yes. Yes.
it it
So
changed my
true. So
entire
true.
life. I know. Actually, when dad moved
Yeah.
in with me, I was the one on medication. I had had a breakdown and was still on two medications, but I got off those medications so I could take care of him. So I was the one getting off medications, and
You were the one.
that's right. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and we were so fortunate because he was in good health. And I got to know my
Yeah.
dad on a everyday level of what a wonderful man he was. He loved talking
That's
to
that.
people. He was interested in everybody. He
Yeah.
had this beautiful heart. He was always service oriented. I never knew all these things about my dad. He was always
Wow.
busy working
Wow.
or, busy with my mother or something.
Right.
So
Right.
my
Yeah.
entire relationship with him, I feel, it took place in from when I was 50 years old, rather than childhood.
Wow. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And myself as well. When how old was I when I moved in there? 53. When I started it. And yes. Yes. So that was when I got to know my dad was as an adult. As a child, he decided he didn't want to be a part of any of that. So we never knew him. So yes, yeah, yeah. That's when I really got to know my dad, or at the end of his life.
And would you do it again if you had the chance?
Yes, I would. I would, because it was again, I was motivated to do it directly from your book. I was motivated to do it, and I would, yes, I would definitely do it, because it's had, like you're saying, it's had such a profound effect on my life afterwards. It's just completely shifted everything in my life. It just wonderful changes. Uh, and yes, and again, as we were saying last time, the only thing I would do differently is I would bring in hospice much sooner. I would have brought in hospice the minute I got in there if I had been aware of the service. But I would definitely, yes, I would definitely do it again, and I always encourage everyone and I've met a few people that are going through it, to just encourage them to stay with it, and have the experience, whatever experience you can have with your parents. I lucked out, and you certainly lucked out as well, that they opened up and were receptive to it. That's certainly, everybody has their own issues, but it's worth making the effort, for it'll change your
Yes,
life.
and I would absolutely do it again. I feel like this was one of the best experiences of my life. When I look at different periods where I've been happy, I had 10 years living with my sister and our children, where
Hmm.
we were really happy. And this 5 years with my father, I was 4 years with him actually, but 5 years from the invitation by
Hmm.
the time he came. It just changed my life so completely. I'm a different person,
Yes.
and my uh, I have no intention of marrying again in this lifetime. But next
Hmm.
lifetime, my relationship's going to be much better because now I know what it's like to
Yes.
have a partner. My father was a partner
Y-
rather than a domineering alcoholic ex-husband.
Yeah.
So uh,
Yeah.
I did a
Right,
lot of
right,
healing around my relationship with my ex-husband
right.
just by being able to do the healing with my father.
Yes, yes. It heals. Yeah, what people don't understand is it heals all future relationships. I mean, that healing happening changes every aspect of your life moving forward after they're gone. It certainly has. And I've had the profound, my life is completely different now. I've let go of so much and have a wonderful relationship now. And all of it directly related to having that experience with my parents and going through all of that. So yes, I completely agree.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Duke. This is so valuable for people to be privy
Yes,
to
I hope
this
so.
kind of conversation because it usually happens behind closed doors.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. That's true. And I have had people actually just this past week saying how helpful all of this is, which is wonderful. I'm happy to talk about it. I never know like what possible use could this be to people, but it really does. People do find use, get a lot of information from this. So I'm happy to do it anytime, anytime. I love being a guest on your podcast here.
Wonderful. Yes. And listeners, if you have an interesting story you would like to be a guest, please contact me and we can arrange that. So thank you again. This has been so valuable and we will have you back. So,
Oh, terrific.
listeners, we will see you next podcast. Bye.
Bye.